Hello, Virgo. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. All right, Virgo, I really like what's going on here, especially considering some of the readings you've been having. So from Shadows and Light, you pulled Nautilus Princess, powerful personal growth. But then from E, you pulled Loud and Clear. Hell yeah. Now, the Nautilus, this is talking about how at one time you may have been very gentle and appeasing and like timid and like passive, but no more. Especially with Loud and Clear, you're stepping up to the plate now. But it's all about that powerful personal growth, right? It is about emotional and spiritual transformation. It does talk about how there may be a person coming through that may be guiding you, but I think that this is you doing this for yourself now. And now with Loud and Clear, it says, can you hear me now? What about now? This is a time for telling it like it is. Get very clear in your intentions, know exactly what you want to communicate, and trust that you are currently connected to the universal network. And just so you know, it is a lot bigger than 10 Gs. But I feel like you're getting pushed to a point now where it's like you're done like trying to please everybody else. All right, Virgo. Here's your overall for the week. Ugh, why? God damn it. You know... Now, it's so frustrating to me because it seems like you guys have such a difficult time with shit. And the funny thing is that nobody would ever know. Nobody would ever know. My very best friend is Virgo sun and moon, rising in Cancer. And it makes sense to me looking at the oracle cards because it's like not just her, but like all Virgos that I've met will go out of their way to help other people. And then they just get shit on. Now, and this is only going to be for some of you, with the Five of Cups being the overall on this, we're talking about emotional garbage, being hurt, being disappointed, being too focused on what has been lost and needing to build on the two that still remain. I mean, that's always been the message with the Five of Cups. But this week, it's going to be about dealing with this, dealing with the difficult emotions. And I hope to God we're getting past this now. Now, in the past, the Seven of Pentacles. So one of the things that I talk about with this is when you're reaping the benefits of the hard work and patience that you have put into something, are you actually seeing the results that you want? Now, you may have been like reevaluating a situation and continuing to like put in the time and effort. But with the Five of Cups being the overall, what I worry about is, you know, if you took the time to reevaluate something and you thought it was still worth your time and effort, you know, you're talking about disappointment here. Okay. And that's good. That is good. The star being in the present moment. So healing, right? But then, you know, also if we're looking at, you know, needing to come out of disappointment, it may be that you're looking, though, too, with the Seven of Pentacles to start putting your time and effort into something else. But the star being in the present moment is perfect. Perfect. I don't know. I'm waiting to see what's going on here because, like, I'm worried about what other things you're dealing with that are causing this in the first place. Strength. Needing to pull on your inner strength here. You know, and the star, one of the things that like I'm getting from looking at this, like I don't even want to go through it. So the star coming after the tower, you're out of, you know, this major destruction and you're looking up at the stars and you're looking at, you know, your hopes and your wishes and your desires for this life. And they're big when you're looking at the star. You know, and what I worry about is that you get pushed to a place where you feel like they can't be reached. And then looking at strength, it's like needing to tap into that inner reserve to continue to go after that now, you know. But like I said, I'm waiting to kind of see what's going on here because then I also wonder, you know, what is it that you're dealing with that is still causing you to feel disappointed, you know. But this, like I said, is still good regardless. Oh boy, your best path to follow, the Hermit. So yeah, you know, needing to just kind of take some time for yourself and think about, you know, what those hopes and those dreams are, right? but also looking back on what you have already been through, especially if you weren't seeing what you wanted out of it, whether we're talking about work or a relationship. But that being your best path to follow, I don't want to tell you that you need to go into hermit mode, because I think that you guys do that enough as it is. But really, it's about needing to do the soul searching. And it goes right back to the Nautilus, right? Personal power, for Christ's sakes, powerful personal growth. But I don't feel like you need to go into isolation because of these difficult emotions. It's all about purging this out now, but again, looking at what those hopes and desires actually are. Oh, in your environment. Wow. The Fool. I wonder, you boy. So if we're looking at a situation that, you're reevaluating here with this Star, and we're talking about, your hopes and your desires here, with the Fool being connected to this in your environment, you're definitely going after it. But I worry, because of the Five of Cups being the overall, and then looking at the Hermit as your advice. And it's not really bad. I just feel like for some of you, because of the Seven of Pentacles being there, I think that you knew that this may not actually give you what you want, but I think that you're wanting to do it anyway. But the problem is you're still faced with this disappointment, and maybe needing to take some time out here for yourself to actually think about what you really want, and maybe getting a little bit more specific on that, But, I'm hoping, though, too, that, like I said, it's all about getting away from the disappointment, right? Being more hopeful about reaching your goals and your desires, and then, being like the Fool and just having faith and kind of going with the flow of things, But I still get the feeling here that some of you need to take a new path. You need to experience something new. And a lot of that is because of these two. Your hopes and your fears, the Page of Cups. So, we could definitely be talking about possibly a relationship, but I worry that it's continuously disappointing you. Again, because the Five of Cups is just putting a taint on everything here. The Page of Cups and hopes and fears, you're talking about the communication of emotions, a new emotional experience, but it's naive. Now, you may be hoping or fearing this kind of communication, but I think that this is what you're hoping for. But maybe it doesn't turn out the way that you want it to, but I think you already knew that with the Seven of Pentacles coming through. And I hate to say this, but I think some of you are looking to justify doing something that is not going to give you what you want, and it's going to continue to leave you in a spot where you're just not fulfilled. But the Page of Cups and the Fool, I'm telling you, I do think that some of you are needing something completely new. But again, going back to the Hermit, it's you need to start looking at what those actual hopes and desires are, and maybe getting a little bit more specific about that, instead of justifying doing something that isn't going to give you what you want, just because, I feel like you think that you need to do this, and like I've always said before, the heart wants what it wants, And then coming out the Ace of Swords, and that's not bad. But, when you're looking at it this way, right, having the strength to accept the truth, no matter how painful it may be. But, we're not looking at a Ten of Swords type feeling. I think it's just you realizing that. Now, when we're talking about, the Ace of Swords, truth, clarity, the aha moment, right? The strength to accept the truth here, and it may have to do with the person with the King of Wands. Now, yeah, we could be talking about fire, but one of the things that I point out, especially with general readings and court cards, is the personality is what's important to me. The King of Wands, like I've said before, has a tendency to show up when there is an attraction to someone. And it may be that, the truth is you need to face the truth that maybe this person is not going to like open up with the 9 of Wands. But I think that you're still hoping for this, and I think that you're still wanting to do this, even though you're going to be like, you know, not happy. Now with Justice here, and again going back to the Hermit, it's really about what is fair for you. What is fair for you? You know, we could definitely be saying here that, you know, some of you have the wall up and you're not willing to let the wall down when it comes to a person. But I think that because we're looking at the truth here and disappointment, it's that, you know, they're not going to open up. I feel like they're not going to open up. They're going to keep the wall up. I think that, you know, you're coming through really strongly with like wanting to have this. And like I said, it's like you're looking for reasons to justify, you know, continuing to do this. But like what you're looking for from a person, you know, they may not give you what you're wanting. But I think that, you know, because there may be like this attraction and want that, you know, you're going to do it anyway. But, right, like the heart wants what it wants. With Justice, though, you know, I mean, what bothers me is strength being future conditions. You know, the strength to make better decisions when it comes to what is actually going to be fair and balanced. Because, like I said, I don't think that you're going to get it from that person. But, you know, you do what you got to do, right? But like, you need to accept that this is probably where you're going to end up for right now, right? It's temporary. And that's not bad. Okay, so now for those of you who are single, you deserve to have love. There may be a relationship that I think that you're trying to get involved in that's just like souring. This is about the souring of a relationship. Too much overindulgence, you know. It's just not good. Like, it's just not good. You know, you may be dealing with a person whose feelings may be like souring when they come to you or you them. And that's basically it. You know, but I feel like you're the one here that is like wanting to have this love, but like the other person isn't giving it, you know, in a good way. Like, I feel like at one point there's like an overindulgence in the relationship, and then it just kind of like fizzles out almost, you know. But this again is the souring of a situation, and you deserve better. Now, as far as those of you who are in a relationship, when I'm looking at the 8 of Wands, I'm looking at savoring the moment, right? Which is really what singles, you know, should be looking at doing, instead of like overindulging in a relationship that's just gonna like blah out on you. But with the 8 of Wands, for those of you who are in a relationship, you know, instead of worrying about like needing to take things to the next level or moving quickly in this relationship, just enjoy the moment. Just enjoy the moment. Enjoy what's happening. Make sure that you have love for yourself. You know, don't like try to be something that you're not for the benefit of somebody else just to get things, you know, going. Like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like that with love yourself first. Just enjoy it, Virgo, because even if it doesn't last, right, like, at least you had a good time with it. And I feel horrible saying that, because when it comes to relationships, like, I feel everybody deserves to have a happy, long-lasting relationship, but unfortunately we come across people that are just not going to give us what we want, you know. But for those of you who are single, the other thing that I'll say too is just be careful about like getting involved with somebody who is like just like looking to just get what they want, you know, because the connection like starts to like sour out. Like, that word sticks out more than anything with this one for me. But like I said, Virgo, you know, maybe it's time for you to just like step back for a minute here and really think about what it is you really want, instead of looking to, you know, justify doing something because you're hoping that it's going to be what you're wanting it to be. All right, Virgo. So, you know, I'm hoping here that with the 5 of Cups being the overall, right, we're talking about getting past disappointments and getting past difficult emotions. But I don't know. I think that for some of you, it's like you're trying to justify why you continue to do this. And the only reason why I say that is because we're looking at the Five of Cups as the overall. Because, you know, you've gone through the whole reevaluating process, but like you still want it, and I think you're still willing to do whatever you can to make this happen, right? But then I also feel like some of you are needing to take a new path where there's going to be hope and healing for you. Now, but the reason why I think that you're trying to justify continuing to do this is because you're looking at strength, the Five of Cups, and then the Ace of Swords. The strength to accept the truth that you may not get what you want from a person, possibly, with the King of Wands coming out on this. I do think that some of you are hoping for some emotional communication and possibly a new beginning as far as that goes. But, you know, again, it's like, with the Nine of Wands being in between this, somebody is not opening up. Somebody's still being on guard. I don't think that they're willing to let the wall down. And it may be because things need to be corrected, though, too, with justice coming out. But, like, you're trying to tap into your inner strength when it comes to this. And I think that you're willing to do what is necessary to correct everything to get it back on track. Because, like I said, the King of Wands has a tendency to show up when we're talking about somebody that there is an attraction to. And the fact that you're hoping for this, you know, right? But needing truth and clarity, though, too. And then looking at your best path to follow being you, right? The Hermit, needing to really think about what you actually want. But it's in such a big way. You know, I would expect to see, like, the Nine of Cups, but this is different. I mean, like, with the Star, right? You're looking at your big time hopes and desires for this life, but then feeling like you can't reach it because of the Five of Cups. But there's potential right now, I think, if some of you take a new path to do healing, because right, nothing's ever set in stone. But like you're still trying to pull on your inner resolve here when it comes to the truth and clarity of a situation that may end up being disappointing. And like I said, for some of you, it's like you're done being something that you're not, is what it feels like. And speaking up now and telling it like it is. You know, and I think that's what some of you need to do here. Now, as far as relationships go, and it goes back to the same thing, and it seems to be the theme for this. You deserve love. You deserve to have better love than this. Right? Like, don't try to be what you're not for the benefit of somebody else who, you know, doesn't appreciate you. Because it's not good. It's not long lasting. It's overindulgence and the souring of a relationship. Now, for those of you who are in a relationship, right, just love yourself first. Savor the moment. You know, enjoy it while it's there. Don't worry about what's going to happen later or trying to make the relationship move to, you know, the next level too quickly. Like, don't focus on that. Just focus on enjoying what you have right now. And I say that because of you needing to love yourself first. But, you know, Virgo, had it been anything else in the Five of Cups, like, and that's temporary. Things can change. But things need to be fair and balanced regardless here. And you're going to have to pull on your inner strength when it comes to dealing with a person and the truth surrounding this person in the situation that you're looking at, instead of trying to justify why you keep doing this, you know. But once things are, like, corrected, like I said, with the Star and the Fool being there, right, like, the potential is there definitely to have some hope and some healing return to you.